Hey there.
Hello.
All right. All right. You got anybody else here? Can you hear me, Jeff?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Okay, good. All right. I'd like to start tonight's meeting. I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
I second. This is Wendy.
Great. Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudden votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote? You're muted, Jeff.
Jeff Woods
There you go.
votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Thank you.
So you all remember how this works? I have a breakout room set up and I'll assign you to that room and it'll ask you if you want to go into that room. Go ahead and accept and do your meeting. And when you're done, there should be a button that says leave breakout room, not leave meeting. So make sure to leave the breakout room when you're done. And
Okay.
we will wait patiently.
Kyle, do we leave this meeting?
You go into a breakout room, which is inside this meeting.
Okay.
And I will pause the recording, so there will not be any recording.
Okay, because all I in the lower right, I have a red that says leave.
Don't do that one.
So wait,
No.
hang on. I haven't assigned you yet. It's coming.
Oh, I got you.
So I got the selectmen, I got Derlin, and I got Tony. Is that correct?
So, yes,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
Ah,
Ah, there we are.
thank you.
All right. I'm going to pause the recording.
Everybody moved to a new spot.
Hi, Dick.
Hey, I made it.
I made it.
Hello, Dick.
Hello.
Cool.
Hello. Oh,
Okay.
I'll change my name again from Sharon.
It's
Hey,
nice
Dick.
to see you instead of just your name on a black screen.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Dick.
Hi. Hi. Good to see all of you.
Yeah.
I've only got a name on the screen.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, it's good to see all of you, even Howie.
All right. I would like to, I'll accept a motion to come out of special executive session.
This is Wendy. So moved.
Martha Dudman seconds.
Wendy, what do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Martha?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Matt?
Matt Hart votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Thank you. Okay, let's see. I will accept a motion to approve the minutes from August 17, 2020.
Martha Dudman so moves.
Matt Hart seconds.
All right, Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield's going to abstain because I didn't
Okay.
attend that meeting.
Okay, and John McCauley votes aye. Great.
John, may I ask if Kyle, since you're the ringleader here, if you see someone with their hand up, could you let us know or let John know?
Sure.
Okay, good.
I'll try to look for it, but it's not very obvious when it pops up, so I miss that sometimes, but I will give you a holler.
Yeah, okay, because we're trying to corral these online meetings a little bit. All right. Appointments, recognitions, and resignations, none presented. Consent agenda. Household Hazardous Waste and Universal Waste Collection Day, Saturday, September 26, 2020 at both of the MDI high school parking lots. Annual Main Revenue Services Audit of Assessments and Ratio Report. August 21, 2020 letter from Donald Cody regarding Long Pond dangers. Update on reopening the CRM plant from MRC Executive Director Michael Carroll. Acadia Disposal District Audit FY ended June 30, 2020 and 2019, and Hancock County Commissioners minutes of August 4 and August 18.
I think Mike has a question.
Mike, go ahead.
Got your hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
False alarm.
Testing me out here.
Yeah, it works. Great. Sorry about that.
I have a question.
Who's that?
Ellen,
Okay, Ellen, go ahead.
Campus, I think.
what's wrong with Long Pond?
I can take that one.
Sure.
Lack of a lifeguard, overcrowding, and parking.
Okay.
And it's been suggested that we move the portable toilets from the landward side of Pretty Marsh Road and put them on the water side of the Pretty Marsh Road to eliminate the number of crossings by pedestrians. Derlin and I talked about it with Chief Willis as well. We'll address the concerns that were raised.
Thank you. I was wondering if, what Jim Willis thought about all this. So you're going to have a conversation and report back to us?
Yes.
Thank you.
We may end up hiring a lifeguard for the summer. And moving the toilets is a DEP question. I think with the COVID, people are staying home, traveling, vacationing locally. And that's very evident over there this summer. A lot of people.
So Tony, will you or Derlin reply back to the person that made those suggestions to let him know that you're looking into it and that it's not just as easy as moving the toilets, that it is a DEP issue? Thank you.
We will.
So this is Wendy. I guess I would move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that. This is Matt.
Okay, very good. Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Okay. Any selectmen's reports?
I have a question. Derlin, have you gotten any complaints or questions about the meeting time that we have now? We typically, before COVID, we always met at 6:30. which made it possible for people to attend who were working during the day. Has this been a problem for anyone?
I have not had any complaints, and I know Kyle originally had done some numbers, which I don't know if he's continued to follow on, but for a long time, we were averaging many more people attending via Zoom than ever attended in purpose, in present. So that's the only figures. I don't know if he's followed up on that anymore, but for a while, we were getting more people via Zoom than we were getting at night. So no one's mentioned it to me that they think it's a hardship or a complaint. So.
Thank you.
Right. Any other reports? Any other questions? No. Okay, unfinished business. Item A, consider extending the MDI Farmers Market Public Space Special Event Permit number 6-2020, Northeast Harbor Village Green, Thursdays 9 a.m. to noon through September 24, 2020.
This is Matt, and I would move approval of the extension as presented.
Martha Dudman seconds.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Wendy, Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
And I vote, John McCauley votes aye. Thank you. Item B, authorize the issuance of a general obligation bond of the town in a principal amount not to exceed $295,000 at an interest rate of 2.09% and for a term of 10 years.
This is Matt, and I would move the authorization under the terms presented.
This is Jeff Wood. I would second that.
Good. Any further discussion? Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Wendy,
Wait,
how
is
do you
it-
vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matt, you have a problem?
Well, I was just I flipping through my book. Which bank was this bond through?
That's the next item.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just got ahead of myself. I was so excited.
I will abstain from that one.
All right.
Okay.
I think
And,
Kathy might have a question.
Wait. Yeah,
Kathy's
hold
got
on.
her hand up.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just gonna ask that if you approve the next article, that you need to come in and sign this bond tomorrow morning. Physical bond. Selectmen do. That's all I had.
Okay, Wendy, how did you vote on that last?
You're muted.
I voted aye.
Okay,
Wendy
and
voted
John
aye.
McCauley votes aye. Okay, thank you. Execution of the bond document for the $295,920 general obligation bond issued by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust Company effective September 18, 2020. Okay, is that the correct number?
No. Can't be. Why wouldn't it match it?
No, I sent a corrected version out. It should match the one above it at 295,000.
Okay, so I would like to amend that to $295,000. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion for that?
This is Wendy. I would move execution of the bond document for $295,000 general obligation bond issued by Bar Harbor Banking and Trust effective September 18, 2020.
This is Matt, and I would second that.
Very good. Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha?
Martha Dudman abstains.
Jeff?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Okay, thank you. Item D, Northeast Harbor Village Center Improvements Project Cost Update.
Okay, folks, you have my memo. work doesn't start for another 5 or 6 weeks on the project. On the first page, item A of the memo, construction costs, we've had change orders with the contractor in the amount of $55,613. As I said in the third bullet, it was some under drain. When we excavated for the parking lot, there was a lot of groundwater that would have posed a problem for many years going forward. The pavement wouldn't have been properly supported, because the gravel wouldn't have been compacted properly. The sanitary sewer and storm drain system, as I pointed out, there's an oversight on my part that should have been included from the get-go. And that was pretty much it for the construction costs. The engineering costs, and I'll get to the tables in the back. I've asked, would approve $135,000 on top of the original $320,000 for construction contract administration and inspection. The costs for that section have gone up. The three biggest issues were working with Versant Power. Hopefully that'll be better now that it's Versant and not Emera Maine. And I've given examples, quite lengthy examples of how Versant affected the increase in pricing. They kept changing their minds. No indication of urgency on their part. It was difficult to pull information out of them. When you have been working with them as an electrical engineer for months and months on one particular design aspect, and then at a public meeting, their representative is asked by a member of the public if they actually do accept this aspect of the project, and they say no, that means we've spent a lot of money and spinning our wheels. We spent time and money. Back in 2018, they had an idea of stringing overhead wires from the Docksider side of C Street, across C Street, and into Old Firehouse Lane. It took CES 3 months to convince them and prove to them what we plan to do with their approval at this intersection of C Street and Main Street takes care of those concerns. Fast forward 2 years later, they brought it up again. And they were adamant they were going to do it this time. And our only request was for them to bury the wires crossing C Street and into the Old Firehouse Lane on the Gray Cow parking lot portion of Old Firehouse Lane. It took us a month of on and off discussions with them to finally convince them that this portion of wires that they were going to run would replace some wires on Main Street in front of the museum and then coming into Old Firehouse Lane off Main Street. They had committed to paying the cost of burying some of those wires. And our argument was, excuse me, take the money you're saving there and bury the wires over here. And for quite a while, they told me, if you want them buried, the town's going to pay for them. CES kept working with them. They committed to burying those wires. And then there was one episode, well, not one. Our representatives met with 4 different people from Emera Maine, or at least on 4 different occasions, at one utility pole to try to decide on where it was going to go. And it ended up going approximately 2 feet from where it is originally right now. The easement process has been very expensive. Upon occasion, we thought we had finalized terms with the property owner, only to find they changed their mind or they wanted something extra added into an easement, that has increased costs significantly. And in the run up to construction, everybody had thought that there would be water district and town portions of the work going on coincidentally. And our inspector, who was our eyes on the project documenting things, would be able to cover everything, which we had planned to do anyway. Jordan, pushing the fall season, switched over, did mostly water work for about 9 weeks. That cost our budget around $45,000, but it is money well spent, in my opinion, because it gave our inspector time, one, make sure the water system is in the way the district wanted it, working with their person that was on site most days. Also to see what the conditions were in the trenches, literally in the trenches, and answer questions from the people along Main Street and outside of the Main Street area. That's money well spent, I think. Long story short, our original budget had a contingency amount of $337,000 plus or minus. There we go. The extra $55,000 for construction and the $135,000 needed through the end of the construction and the 12-month warranty period that the contractor is obligated to carry, leaves us $190,000 in contingency. That is one of the big reasons that we have a contingency fund.
Okay.
Anyone, these numbers I've reflected, again, in what I call table A at the next to the last page in the memo. And then table B is a breakdown of where some of these costs occurred. And many months ago, I asked CES, our engineers, to start tracking costs that they felt were over and above what they anticipated, what they included in their original budget calculations, and those are reflected in here in that table B. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than willing to address them.
What's your projected timeline? You said we're going to be starting in about 5 or 6 weeks, I guess, after Columbus Day?
Yes,
And
yes,
then how long you'll work until you can't work anymore, and then
yes.
start up
Yes.
again?
In the
Finish
spring.
in the spring?
That's my fingers crossed. And until we can finalize these primary 3 outstanding easements that we need, 4, Versant's told us they won't start any work until they have all the easements in hand. And originally they were going to pursue the easements, and they midstream decided they weren't going to and told us we were. And then that evolved into needing some professional surveying to lay out bearings and distances to put in the written descriptions. But yes, Martha, that the schedule you outlined is correct.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Tony.
Thank you very much for everything.
All right, new business. Authorize Town Manager Derlin Lunt to sign and execute the following leases approved at the August 11, 2020 town meeting: the Neighborhood House 2020 agreement, Chamber of Commerce 2020 agreement, Ticket Sales 2020 agreements, and the Seal Harbor Fishermen's Association lease.
Can we vote these in a block?
Yes.
So move approval and signature.
And this is Wendy, and I'd second that.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion? Okay, Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matthew, how do you vote?
Matt will abstain just because there's an item related to neighborhood house in there.
Okay, Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Thank you. Item B, authorize town manager Darrell Lunt to sign the DOT agreement for the Route 198 project approved at the August 11, 2020 town meeting.
This is Wendy. I would move approval for Derlin to sign that agreement.
This is Matt. I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Okay, item C, consideration of retaining C.E. Buckland and Sons for repair and or replacement of approximately 800 to 900 linear feet of siding at the Seal Harbor Fire Station and authorize the fire chief use of up to $9,960 from Fire Station Building Reserve account 4040-300-24470 with a current unencumbered balance of $66,867.62 to pay for these repairs.
This is Wendy. I would move approval for that repair to be done.
This is Martha, second.
Very good. Any further discussion? Okay, Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Request to authorize a public space special event application to Alyssa Richards for a wedding scheduled September 19, 2020 in Summonsby Park.
That makes me really nervous, but I'm interested to hear other people's perspectives.
What is the current crowd size that's allowed?
200 outdoors,
Oh, well,
50 indoors.
well, Jeff, we don't have to go.
Yeah, that's right.
This is
I
Matt.
I would be the next Millinocket wedding, that's all.
Right. This is Matt. I did have one concern. And I will say, I think outdoors, in the grand scheme of things, this is a pretty small gathering. It can absolutely, in my opinion, be done safely if state and CDC guidance is followed. And I just wonder, is there anything on the approval that we can, I think we've done this in the past with some others before, but just to reinforce the importance of the 6 feet of spacing when possible, the use of masks. And the one thing that did make me a little nervous was I believe there was mention of a potluck, which I think goes with communal dishes and things like that. And I know we sort of joke about it, but Jeff, I agree with you. Like, we don't want to be the next Millinocket. And I'm certainly in favor of letting the public space be used for a marriage ceremony. I think that's great. But if we could just give them some reminders. Looked like Tony had his hand up.
Tony?
I agree, Matt. I just want to point out that it's first come, first serve. Meaning the people may be joined by others playing volleyball or something.
Yes, that's included in the cover letter when I send this out in the mail.
And also, I believe, Claire, that alcohol is not allowed.
Right.
I believe you're correct on that. They did not request a liquor license or anything for a BYOB through
They
Derlin.
couldn't get it even if they did.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I
was
agree
gonna
with
go.
that. I would like to add in the cover letter that we urge them to wear masks and to observe social distancing.
Yeah, I would suggest not urge. I would say this is contingent upon your agreement that you will. if for no other reason but to cover our own selves from
Yeah.
tacit approval. I think it should be very clear that no alcohol, and it should be very clear that expectation is that CDC guidelines will be followed. We know they probably will not, but we need to insist that they do.
You can put those restrictions in because they are in conformance with the state mandates as well. So you would be just reinforcing what they're already supposed to be doing.
Yeah, good.
I would agree with Jeff. I like using the word it's required that you do
Yeah,
this.
that's better. Thanks, Jeff. I'm not usually that nice.
Oh,
All right, any further discussion on that? All right, do I have a motion?
This is Wendy. I would move approval with the comments that we made regarding requiring social distancing and following those CDC guidelines.
This is Matt. I'll second that.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion? All right, Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Okay, item E, request to authorize a public space special event application to Howie Matenko for a portrait shoot, Help Portrait MDI LLC, scheduled for October 3, 2020 at the Seal Harbor Village Green.
I'm here if you guys have questions.
I move approval. This is Martha Dudman.
This is Matt, and I would second that. And Mr. Montenko is here, so you just heard the previous conversation. It does sound like a portrait shoot would be a little more of a controlled environment than a wedding.
Yeah, so let me explain that. We're going to take temperatures and ask the COVID questions right when the participants arrive. And then we're going to ask everyone to wear masks, and we'll be providing masks. And they'll just take off the masks when they're actually getting their photos taken. But the photographer will be more than 6 feet away with the camera anyways. So we're very respectful of this whole COVID thing.
Some people might prefer to keep their masks on when they're photographed.
That's okay. That's their choice.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anybody, did I get a motion for that?
I think I made a motion.
I think
Right,
Matt.
and I intended the second in kind of a roundabout way there.
All right. Then I guess I'm going to ask Martha, how'd you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Matt, how'd you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Wendy, how'd you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Howie. Item F, request to authorize a public space special event application to William Hanley, Planning Board Chair, for a Planning Board public hearing on Harold McQuinn, Inc., Freshwater Stone and Brickwork, Inc., Quarry, scheduled September 30, 2020 at the Northeast Harbor Village Green. Okay.
Martha Dudman moves approval.
Matt Hart will second it.
I have a question about the cost of this tent and things like that. I mean, I understand this meeting is important, and as they've been waiting and whatnot, but it's how much is this tent going to cost the town?
good question.
I think he had his estimates in there. I think one of the things that is a positive on that is that should be a reimbursable expense through FEMA for those sorts of things, that tent. So much like the town meeting tent was reimbursed. So.
Because I didn't see any dollar amount for the tent, and that's why I asked. I looked pretty closely.
That's a good question.
So if FEMA reimburses it, we'll pay through our federal taxes rather than our state.
Yeah, rather than
Our
do
local
the
tax.
property tax.
$100.
But I suspect it will be similar to what, well, I know it actually was a different operation than the whole town meeting thing, because that was an open tent, very small, and this is for a tent that would house people underneath. So I think we're going to also put the special guidelines about masks and all of that into that as well.
Yes.
Obviously, I think that one is larger than your wedding. So.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Kathy has a question.
Kathy, go ahead.
The cost of that was $6,100, including the audio system, chairs, and the like.
Is that for the town meeting one, Kathy?
No, it's for this meeting.
For this meeting, okay. So that answers Jeff's question.
Why can't people be in their cars for this one?
Well, if they did the cars, they would probably want to do it somewhere else because that green with the parking configurations, it's hard for everyone to see. So that's why we did it at the high school as opposed to the Marina Green, because the parking for that. So they would have to sort of refigure that whole thing.
Could it be done at the high school in the cars? Would it be cheaper to do it that way?
It might.
Might be worth looking into.
I would send that back to the planning board with questions. I think the board should formulate a set of questions, send that to me, and I'll forward that to the planning board.
That's my question. Maybe if there's a less expensive way to do it through cars at the parking lot at the high school, I would be in favor of that change.
Yep. Yeah.
So I guess I take back my motion.
Okay.
I'll talk to Kim tomorrow and talk about the concerns. So it's basically the cost and the location, because you could think it could be cheaper if it was a drive-in as opposed to a. Okay, I will pass those concerns on to her tomorrow.
Okay, good. So we want to table this?
I would think if you've got those questions, I wouldn't want to approve it at this point.
Okay.
I think you have too many issues that you're concerned about. So.
Move we table.
Second.
All right. Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye.
Right, I'll send out an email before I go home, so he's got a heads up. And I'll copy Bill Hanley on it as well.
Okay.
Well, I'll send it to Bill and copy Kim. I think
They're hoping to have this meeting 3 weeks from tomorrow, I guess. So it's
so we got to
time sensitive.
Jeff is paying his way already.
All right.
You might need to have just a quick special meeting on that, depending, possibly. But that's not hard to put together.
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll see.
Okay, we need to vote to table.
Yes, you should.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I made a motion and it was seconded.
Okay, Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Great. All right, any other business? Oh, all right, time for the treasurer's warrants. Warrants to be approved and signed. Town invoices AP 2112 in the amount of $901,111.78.
Move approval and signature.
I'll second that.
Second that too.
Okay, great. Any discussion? Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye.
Just thought of something, John. If they actually do move it over to the high school, then you won't have to vote on it. Because it won't be, it will be there. And also on their thing is,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
if they, I'm not quite sure how they're planning on budgeting that, but their planning board budget may have enough for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, I didn't see it as being a big problem, but it may be. So we'll I mean, if we can save the money, that would be great. And I like the parking lot idea myself.
Yeah, okay. I'll shoot that to them. Work on that right now.
Authorized warrants to be signed. Town state fees and payroll benefits, AP 2109 in the amount of $2,882.62. AP 2110 in the amount of $6,073.56. AP 2111 in the amount of $93,443.57. And town payroll, PR 2104 in the amount of $116,719.40. PR 2105 in the amount of $112,694.35.
This is Matt. I'll move approval.
Seconded.
All right. Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Wendy?
Wendy Littlefield abstains.
And John McCauley votes aye. Great, thank you. Warrants to be acknowledged. School invoice 03 in the amount of $87,053.05. And school payroll roll 05 in the amount of $135,581.90.
This is Matt. I'll move acknowledgement.
This is Wendy. I second it, but I have a question, I think, for Claire. My daughter is now working at Mount Desert Elementary School, so in the future, will I have to abstain from this vote as well?
I think that's actually a Kathy question, and when your son was working, I think you had to abstain, so sounds like you probably will.
Okay, she hasn't received she's not on this list, so I can do my second.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Wendy?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Jeff?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Great, thank you, everyone.
Move adjournment.
Yes, I would take a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Wendy second.
All right. Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Matt?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Wendy?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Jeff?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. All right. Thank you, everyone.